Hey guys, I decided to do my cultural presentation over the Asian heritage and their attitudes towards death. Since the ancient times, the Asian culture has believed that the souls of the dead go on to live in another world. They believe that the burials bring peace to their deceased, their loved ones, family members. So they follow the tradition of inhumation, which is in simpler words, just the burial process. The Asian culture strongly believe that the souls of the dead stay and protect their descendants, which I believe is something that is very important because throughout this entire presentation, I'm going to talk about the different things that they do to pretty much please the ancestors and to help further their future life after they die. In the Chinese American family, you will find a mixture of traditional beliefs that go back centuries and also modern attitudes as well. In the early 1960s and 1970s, it was very hard for them to even practice their religion in China, and also their values and customs as well. So when it came to their religion, they and the process of their burials and their understanding of death and dying, they kind of mixed it with the Christianity approach, as well as contributing their main focuses on their culture as well. When it comes to burying somebody, they focus mostly on their independence as a person and also the individuality as that person. They also do something that's called the filial piety, which is respect of one's parents, elders, or ancestors. They do an event every year called the Cambodian Festival of the Dead, which is on September 27th, and it's annually, and it lasts about 15 days. So they pretty much walk around, they offer prayer and food for the food of the relatives that have passed. They also throw rice on the ground, which is pretty much feeding the spirits of the dead. The Asian ethnic group view life as a journey. So death is kind of just a phase for them that gets them to go on to the next process of their life. For some funerals, they last for a couple of days and have many rituals. When males die, usually males deal with the male bodies, and when females die, females usually deal with the female bodies. For males, they say that for both females and males, they dress them up in their nicest clothing that they had. They usually bury the males with coins and the females with jewelry. They cover the face of the dead body with a yellow cloth, which is the color of Buddhist, which stands for freedom and worldly concerns. After they do that, they kind of wrap the actual body, in a blue cloth, which represents harmony and immortality. Before they do this, sorry, I should have said this, but before they do this, they usually wash the body, they anoint the body, which is praying over the body, and then they dress the body up in their really nice clothing, like I said. After that, they secure the body in rope, and then they put the cloth over their face and the cloth over the body. There is this thing called the Anticia, which I believe is how you say it, which is the purpose to purify the deceased. For some cultures, they usually cremate the body within 24 hours after the person has died. They usually do this for spiritual reasons, more to complete the release of the soul. For another cultural belief, they believe to not inform the patient of his or her diagnosis, believing that it might hasten the course of the death. So they said a lot of the Chinese cultures, they believe strongly in doctors and respect them completely. But a lot of elders, when it's time for them to pass, they usually rather die in their home. They say dying in their home can usually bless their family with fortune. And so they also say that sometimes in China, it's really hard for them to sell their houses as well, because they believe that if they sell their house, that means they're selling away their fortune for whatever family member passed away in that house. For Filipinos, they don't want to plan the arrangements of the death, thinking it might tempt their fate. So the personal care for these sick ones are by loved ones. Um, a lot of them have a 9-day service of death, which is they're called novenas, which is a form of worship consisting of special prayers or services on 9 consecutive days. They believe that life continues beyond death. The 9-day ritual is a way of putting the dead soul away peacefully. They also burn symbolic paper during this ritual, which represents them being financially stable in the next life. Living and the dead are very dependent on each other in this culture. They believe if they perform the rituals, the ancestors will dispense blessings to them throughout their entire life. Honoring ancestors is a huge part of their tradition of death. So being able to honor their ancestors while also putting down their loved ones and burying them is something that's very significant to each other. I think doing my entire research, it kind of seems like the whole perception of death and dying is kind of to pretty much bring worship and respect to the ancestors that have already died. Pretty much saying that they are the reason that they're able to continue these type of rituals and burials, and so they respect them a lot more. In Japan, funeral ceremonies, they usually take the foot base of the casket and face it towards the door, which is pretty much representing that it will be easier for them to pass along to their next life if they put the casket towards the door. Respect for their ancestors helps maintain a psychological and emotional link between the living and the dead. So like I said, emotionally and psychologically, this is something that they wholeheartedly believe in that will help them better their future lives for their loved ones, for the ones that have passed, for their ancestors, gods, ghosts. So they believe in a lot of different things, which I think is very, very cool to be able to understand. For me, like for Christianity, I know a lot of the times it's you kind of bury that person and there's no going on from there. It's more of you either go to heaven or hell, and there's no difference. But for this, I think it's really cool how they go on to go to a different life. So their different life is something that they get kind of like another chance, but they also have their ancestors, their gods, their ghosts to help them contribute to that next life and to also contribute to their loved ones that they're leaving behind as well. For this Asian cultures and their beliefs, they have something that's called a death song. So it's stated, if they ask me, say, he had some business in another world, which I think is an awesome thing because it's kind of very light and very, it's sad because it's called a death song, but I feel like it's very beautiful to think about that, oh, I have concerns in this life, but my next life will be completely different. And they especially believe that it will be completely different based on how they bury their loved ones and how they take care of them. I think a lot of the times in our life, we don't really understand death until it happens. Even if we've seen multiple deaths throughout our entire life, we kind of take advantage of the people being there when they are actually there. And then when they're gone, we're kind of sad and lost and confused, when I feel like with the Asian culture beliefs, they are able to peacefully and joyfully put down their loved ones and are able to know that in the next life they are going to be taken care of. I think some of the cool facts that I learned throughout this entire research process was being able to see that they have different little things that they believe in. So when they're taking care of their loved ones in the house, their sick loved ones in the house, they believe to cover up all the mirrors, because if one person would look at the reflection of themselves in the mirror during that process, that their next life, that death would be brought upon them. So whoever looked in the mirror, death would be brought upon them, which I think is something that is really cool to sit back and think that these are the different things that they take caution to. I think this is a great way to be able to understand the differences between cultures in the way they view death and dying, because a lot of times death can be viewed as very negative, and I feel like they don't do that at all. So thank you for listening to me. Have a great day.